Famine is now projected between October and December in the Baidoa and Burkaba districts and displaced populations in Baidoa town of Somalia is by region, unless humanitarian aid is scaled up. The last famine in Somalia in the year 2011 and the year 2012 killed over 250,000 of people, and while the scale of humanitarian assistance is much larger now than it was then, the scale of need is also much greater. The United Nations humanitarian chief Martin Griffith told reporters in Mogadishu that we're in the last minute of the 11th hour to avoid a full-blown disaster in Somalia.
To my core these past few days, by the level of pain and suffering we see so many Somalis enduring. Famine is at the door, and today we are receiving a final warning. The Somalia Food Security and Nutrition Analysis Report, being released today, shows concrete indications that famine will occur in two areas in the Bay region, Baidoa and Burkaba districts in south-central Somalia between October and December of this year. The situation and trends resemble those seen in 2010-2011 in that crisis, except now they're worse. The unprecedented failure of 4 consecutive rainy seasons, decades of conflict, mass displacement, severe economic issues are pushing many people to the brink of famine.
The hunger crisis in Somalia is primarily the result of a drought of historic severity. 4 consecutive rain seasons have failed, and forecasts for the 5th are poor. This is compounding the impact of other recurrent climate shocks, coupled with conflicts and instability that exacerbate hunger and restrict humanitarian access. Food prices in Somalia were already rising sharply due to drought-induced livestock death and poor harvest. They soared even higher following the crisis in Ukraine. In June, the average cost for a household to meet its basic food need was at its highest in 5 years. Baimankan Sanko, the World Food Programme Deputy Director, Somalia, has called for more support to help the millions affected by the drought.
It's an imminent reality if we do not act immediately. As WFP, we know from experience that we cannot wait for a formal declaration of famine to act. So for months, we have been working to scale up our life-saving support in Somalia. We are reaching more people than we've ever have before. 3.7 million people with relief, and more than double the number that we have reached in April. Over 300,000 with nutrition support.
As famine looms and the drought worsens, 7.8 million people, nearly half of the country's estimated population, need humanitarian assistance. Hundreds of thousands of people are at imminent risk of death if we do not act immediately.